What's up, and welcome back to the channel or to my podcast if you're listening to this on the Astrology and Human Design podcast. Hello and welcome to this energetic update and planetary transit update for the month of June 2022. So I'm just going to cover, a brief overview of all of the transits that are going on that are the most important, the most crucial, and then just share some of my thoughts for what I feel June intuitively has in store for us as a collective. And I'm going to put my phone on silent here so that I don't get any calls while I'm filming this. So I also want to update you guys and let you know that there's been some changes on my podcast and how I've just gotten a lot of clarity on what I want to create and how I want to create it. And right now I'm really focused on TikTok and YouTube, hence why I am posting this update here and a video here, as well as the recording is going to be going on the podcast. And I'm not going to be doing the weekly energy updates anymore on the podcast. It just feels like I'm moving on from that phase of doing them every single week. And I'm just going to focus more on giving you guys the update on a monthly basis, as well as whenever I feel like there's important transits going on in the moment that, I just feel called to talk about as a manifesting generator. And it's like, I really just got to follow, and I've been experimenting with this for the past few years, and I'm still experimenting with this on the daily of like, how can I really align with my expansion? How can I really align with the things that I want to do and cut the shoulds out of the picture? And it's just the conditioning in the programming is so strong. It is a journey to decondition ourselves and to really train ourselves to align with our true selves. And that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about sharing this material with you all, and not just, sharing it like giving you guys the information, but sharing it in a way that's helping you to use this information and to have the tools and the resources to be able to make your own observations of your own chart, right? I don't want to just be someone who is like constantly reading for other people. Like I want to, and I intend to, and I desire to, and it really excites me to teach this to you all and to really give you these tools and share with you what I have spent years, hours every day for years diving into learning about this stuff so that you all can use it to align with your highest and to not have to rely on anyone else to read your chart and to read the transits and to know what's going on for you. Like I really am super duper passionate about and literally like feel like I'm finally aligned with my mission in this way of like giving you all the teachings of human design and astrology so that you can make your own interpretations, your own evaluations of your chart and the charts of the people around you and the world, and make your own interpretations and evaluations of the transits and start to have this as a tool in your toolbox versus relying on someone else to do it for you. And there's nothing wrong with that, like totally nothing wrong with that. I understand. I have even many friends that don't want to learn this stuff for themselves. They're like, I would rather you just tell me, can I pay you for a reading? And I'm like, sure, that feels aligned for me. But there's also, I know so many of you out there that want to learn this, and that's who I'm intending to call in. That's why I'm doing the work that I'm doing. It's not to be a crutch for people necessarily. It's to give you the tools that you need to be able to walk on your own, right, with this stuff. So that's why I'm doing everything that I'm doing. That's why I've created, that's why I'm shifting what content I'm creating with the podcast and with YouTube, and why I have created the Astro HD class membership and community where I'm posting classes in there to teach you astrology, to teach you human design, to teach you niche topics like the human design sleep chart and how to make money using your astrology and human design, how to find your life purpose, how to navigate life as an emotional authority, and how to work with the moon cycles versus me just like doing a lot of readings for individuals. So, and I love readings and I don't want to stop doing them, but I am going to lessen the amount that I'm doing and lessen the amount of readings that I'm taking, and again, focus more on what I'm creating to help you all learn this stuff and to teach it to you and to teach you my way, so to speak, so that you have these tools in your toolbox and these resources at your disposal to be able to do this on your own. And so yeah, that's why I've created the Astro HD membership, which I mentioned, and the Human Design and Astrology School. It was originally the Understand Astrology and Human Design School, but I've kind of renamed it, revamped it as like the Astro HD School. And, you know, there are courses to help you become a reader and to really just learn the deep inner workings of human design and astrology, versus the membership portal is more of like simplified information, simplified classes on niche topics, like I said, and I'll be going over the moon cycles in there too, every new and full moon, how to apply that cycle to your chart and manifest with the cycles of the moon, as well as giving you just insight into the niche topics in human design. And then in the courses and the trainings where you can become a reader and learn how to become your own astrologer and human design guide, that is where I'll be going into the deeper stuff at a really, really deep, thorough level, versus the Astro HD is just going to be very simplified. So that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm transitioning into. And I just want to thank you all so much for being here with me and for supporting me on this journey, and for being interested in learning about yourself, interested in learning about astrology and human design, because it is literally going to change the world. It has already changed the world so much, and I don't think we've even crack the surface on what the potential of these two modalities are, especially using them together and in combination with each other. So yeah, that was a really long-winded update. So thank you for bearing with me through that. I appreciate you, and I am just grateful that you're here, like, so much. So thanks for being you, thanks for being here, thanks for being interested in this and pursuing your interest in this, and hopefully pursuing your passion, and this is one of them. So June, major updates. June 3rd, Mercury goes direct. Like, can we get a hallelujah? I'm not going to edit this video, but if I did want to spend time editing this video, I would put in a little song of praise there, because this one has been, I'd say it wasn't as rough as the Mercury retrograde was back in January with everything else going on in January. That was like real rough, but you know, Mercury retrograde is going to be over. It's just an exciting time. So that's on June 3rd. And it will be stationing direct in Taurus, and then it will be entering Gemini again on the 13th of June. So that's something to look out for, because that will be a full-on, this, you know, those 10 days from the 3rd to the 13th will be a full-on integration of what we reassessed, what came back into our lives during that Mercury retrograde period. While it's direct, it'll be us taking action towards making those changes, towards moving in the new direction of everything that was reflected back to us, and making those, you know, applying those changes to our life and moving forward in a new way. As always, consult your chart for how this is going to impact and affect you. I am doing June horoscope readings, which you can book through my Instagram or TikTok bio. They're also in the description box of this video or podcast episode. It's my Stan store. That's like the website, stan.store. Yeah, did I say that right? Yeah, it's kind of a tongue twister. stan.store/the Human Design Astrologer. That's the only place, by the way, that you can book readings from me, unless you're on my email list, which I only offer one-on-one Zoom readings to the people on my email list. So yeah, don't answer DMs from people that are pretending to be me, because it's not me. And it is a scam. And right after Mercury goes direct in the sign of Taurus, Saturn stations retrograde in the sign of Aquarius on the 4th of June. So this is going to be a reevaluation of, and let me see how long this retrograde period is. Whoa, that just scared the shit out of me. I don't even know if y'all heard that really loud noise, but so Saturn will be retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. Oh, here we go. Until the 22nd of October. And this is going to be a reevaluation of our discipline, our commitment, right? Again, check where in your chart you have Aquarius ruling what house, because that's the area of life that's going to be impacted during this for you. But this is just a reassessment of the ways we're taking action, as well as integrating our karmic lessons, learning how to integrate like our quote unquote darker side, right? And really make peace with the, I don't want to use the word shadow side of ourselves, because I feel like that's such a cliche that's like totally misinterpreted and can be misinterpreted, because there's just such a, anyways, that would be me going off on a tangent. I don't believe in shadow work, but that's for another time. What I mean by this is that during the Saturn retrograde period, we're really going to be seeing the ways in which we haven't been honest with ourselves, and in the ways in which we can like be faced, which we will be faced with that hard truth per se, depending on your level of dishonesty with yourself or illusionment within yourself, and how to really look at that fully in order to integrate that, right? It's like, and I really realized this today. I was like, you know, with this kind of relationship dynamic that I've had going on and off for the last 3 years, it has been just exhausting. It's been triggering. It's been frustrating. It's been like, I don't even really want to talk about it. Like, but I had to get really real with myself and be like, you know what? I am still kind of holding on to this a little bit because I'm seeking this sort of reaction. I'm seeking this sort of experience from this, of closure. And I know from the past experience of this dynamic that that's not going to happen. And me expecting that is just me lying to myself and then getting angry that it's not, you know, going to come in, or that it's not like being presented, you know, that this person isn't reaching out to me, they ghost me. This has happened multiple times over the last 3 years. And it always comes back around during Mercury retrograde, because Mercury rules my chart, or I'm sorry, Gemini rules my chart, and Venus with Venus, relationships, Gemini, communication, Mercury affects that. So whenever Mercury goes retrograde, you best believe old partners come back in, old relationship dynamics come back in, this on and off situationship comes back in, and every single time I learn a deeper lesson, but I also cultivate this energy of like, you know, and it's a good reflection to have, but it's also like it, and I had to be honest with myself and be like, this is really frustrating me, the fact that I have caved into this so many times, and I know it's going to end the way that it always has, because it's not going to change in this life. I just know that, like, I have this knowing. I've done work around it. I've done parts work. I've done belief system work. I've done forgiveness work. I've done compassion work. I've literally done what it feels like everything I can around this dynamic, and it hasn't shifted. And so it's like, okay, what does that signify to me? It's time for me to move on, and for me to stop expecting this to be something that it's not going to be. And I really had to get real with, literally today, I had to get really real with myself in that sense. And Saturn is in my 5th house right now, the house of romance, of dating. So it just makes sense. And this will be, you know, what the period is going to be like for me in the next, what is that, 5 months? Less than 5 months, 4 months, well, until October 22nd is when Saturn goes direct again, is going to be really reevaluating my romance, my dating life, and the way that am I really aligned and committed to and disciplined with my truth in that area of my life? Or am I caving because I have this fear of not having someone, right? And that's always kind of the energy that's been behind me caving in and giving in to people when they reach back out to me, and I know they're not the one. I know it's not right for me. I know it's just going to lead the same damn place it always has, right? And it's like, I know better. And so I also have to be honest with myself and like not just know that, but act on that. And that's really what Saturn has to teach us. It's like, if you're not embodied in what you say, if you're not acting on the lessons you're being presented with and shown, shit's going to be hard for you. Like, that's just how it's going to be, because you're not being honest with yourself and cultivating this sense of inner discipline. And so that's, anyways, I got on a huge tangent with that, but that's what I feel like this Saturn retrograde really has to teach us. And being in the sign of Aquarius, it's like, and those of you who are going through your Saturn return right now are going to maybe feel this more intensely depending on where you are in your evolutionary journey and life journey, like in self-development journey. But with Aquarius, it's like, how does that, you being honest with yourself and aligned and committed to and disciplined with your own unique truth and individuality, how does that help the collective? How does that benefit the collective, right? Aquarius is the sign of the collective. It is literally like the collective, all of us here on this planet. So how does you, being this for yourself, send out a ripple effect and a signal to the rest of the collective? And it's kind of like, yes, you're an individual, but also what your actions are and what you're doing as an individual are contributing to the greater whole, and us as a collective, as a species, as a society, as a humanity, as a world. Then on June 6th, we have the Sun sextiling Chiron. So this will just kind of be like a day for healing around our ego, healing around, kind of, again, just that theme of like getting really honest with our communication and really healing a lot of the ways in which we're taking action or not taking action towards that in our lives. Then on June 11th is a really big day. I'm actually going to pull up this day on my Astro Gold program here to just kind of look at the chart versus a piece of paper that's just telling me this as a list, because the chart speaks to you if you know how to read it. Oh my gosh, this is just a really intense day. So we have Venus conjunct Uranus, which will be a lot of changes around finances, around our relationships, around our value systems, around our morals. I did a TikTok video on this that I have posted to my YouTube channel about the reason our money and our relationships have been going through such a huge transformation. I've been talking about this for a couple weeks, I think, because Venus has just been in such a, I'll just say it, a shitstorm of a place in the last 7 months, since mid-October of last year. And with it being conjunct Uranus and opposing the moon on June 11th, it's like we can't avoid making these changes anymore. And we're going to be faced with a situation in which where we really have to make those changes, or things are going to get really hard and really tough. It's like, is it time for you to make a career transition? And if it is, you'll probably run out of money, or you'll be fired, or something like that. It's kind of like the energy of what's going to happen. Like if you're not listening, if you're not aligning with the messages you're getting from your higher self, from your soul, from the universe, from God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing. Like if you're not taking action and aligning with that energy, like it's going to come. Like it's going to come no matter what. And it's only hard if you choose for it to be hard, and if you choose to grip on to the old and not, go through that process of change and entering the new situation, the new career, the new, and yes, it's scary, but everything is scary when you start it, right? Driving was scary when you started driving. You were like, drove like a freaking grandma when you started driving. Walking was probably, we were babies when we started to walk. I don't know if we even had fear then, but things are scary when they're new, but that's not an excuse to not change, right? It's like, and if you're staying stagnant, that's when things are going to get really hard for you. That's when things are going to be really difficult. This summer is going to be really hard if you're not listening and if you're not taking action based on what you're receiving. What is your next move? What have you been learning about, with that new moon in Gemini? It's like, how can you express yourself and move towards what you have been feeling as called to in terms of your soul? What do you want to communicate? What are your gifts that you want to share with the world? What do you want to receive recognition around? What enthuses you? What brings you joy? What's your passion? If you're not doing it, life is going to really come at you, because this is the time of aligning with that energy of your soul's work, of your life purpose. Like no longer are we as a collective, as a species, allowed to live the way we have been. It's time to change. It's time to do things differently. And we live in the most abundant time where anything is possible because of technology, because of the internet, because of social media. You can learn about anything you want because of Google, because of books. So instant access to almost all the books in the world because of Amazon. Like literally could show up at your door in 3 hours or whatever it is they're doing now, like where it's instant day delivery. Like it is crazy what is possible when you just take the action towards aligning with it and take those steps that you know you need to take in order to make those changes, or otherwise it's gonna be hard. That's just the energy of this day and of like us entering into this summer. Like there's some really intense transit this summer, and it's like if you're not aligned with your true self, if you're not aligning with your purpose and taking action towards that, like things are gonna get really tough for you. And I'm not saying this to like, you know, whatever, I don't even have to explain myself. That's just the fucking reality of what we're living in right now. And it's not going to get easier if you're not listening. So like really, what are you passionate about? What brings you joy? What enthusiasms you? What are your creative talents that you just could do forever? Like how can you pursue more of that and release any expectation around the outcome of what it could be or what you want it to be or what it should be, right? It's like miraculous things. I just read this story yesterday of this woman who her husband died and she, you know, hadn't had a job. Like she was raising the kids, so like she hadn't had any income or anything like that for many, many years, and she didn't know what she was going to do. And you know, she was just good at like sewing and just loved to sew, but didn't know how she could turn that into a career. And so someone guided her to be like, okay, plant some flowers or like plant some things and just set the intention, like this is your new beginning in your career and this is going to bring in money. Like she was really worried about having money, right, to support her family because her husband didn't leave her with anything. And so she planted these flowers, right, and set the intention. It doesn't even matter what you do. It's just about the intention of bringing in whatever it is that you want. And these are why new moons are so potent and so powerful. And this is what I talk about in the Astro HD membership classes in each new moon cycle. And this is how you can manifest with a new moon, right? Like what intentions are you setting? She just literally did that small, simple act of setting the intentions of like, this is a new beginning for me. I don't know how it's going to manifest. I don't know what's going to happen, but I surrender to the process and I'm setting this intention clearly. And then her friend called her. She was like sick and she worked at a theater and she did like, you know, she sewed clothes and she couldn't sew like the costumes for the set of the whatever play. I don't even know. And so she was like, can you fill in for me? And like, you'll be paid, whatever. And so she did all the costumes and she made some adjustments because she used her creative talents and abilities. This is what she loved to do and what she was good at. And they were like well received from the costume director or whatever. And she got hired. Like, and then she had like people reaching out to her. She got hired to do more projects. She had people reaching out to her to sew their costumes and their clothes and like all this stuff. And it's like, you never know what can happen when you just set the intention and then take the inspired action when it comes to you, right? And this is what human design teaches us, is how to operate correctly in alignment with your energy and to make decisions that are correct for you, utilizing your highest alignment and your correctness, which is your design. So that being said, June 11th is just a very transformational day. We also on that day have the Mercury trining Pluto, which it did trine Pluto a few days ago when it was retrograde, and now it'll be trining Pluto when it's stationary, when it's direct. So time to take action towards a transformation. It's time to take the action, make the change. It's time to step up. And then on the 15th of June, we have Mars conjunct Chiron, which just feels like taking, again, like really doesn't feel good for some political current event things. But on an individual level, this feels really good in terms of taking action towards, again, like just healing. We've been healing the way that we have been relating to confidence, relating to bravery, our ability to take action, right? And so it's like with Mars conjunct Chiron, it's like it's time to act. What have you been healing over the past 2, 3, 4 years? And how can you act on that to like it's like taking that action is healing. Taking that action, you know, it's like the idea of, I don't even know how to articulate this. It's all like jumbled. But okay, how to articulate this in a way that is cohesive and simple and can help these people apply it to their life. Okay, this is it. So it's like, you know, the energy of the classic perfectionist, right? Where it's like, oh, I can't do this thing because it's not perfect, or I don't know enough yet. That is complete bullshit. There could not be anything further from the truth. You know everything you need to know to be able to take that action right now as you're meant to take it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the idea or the pull or the like joy or enthusiasm around it. You wouldn't have the desire if it wasn't meant for you right now in this moment. So it's time. Like, this is what this energy is. Like, on June 15th, like, mark your calendars, because right before that we have Mercury entering Gemini. So like, it's time to express yourself. It's time to take the action. It's time to do the thing, because that is what is going to heal you, and that is what's going to lead you to it being perfect eventually. Like, if y'all could see, I have created my website and I've been the sole person running my business and my website and all of it. I have hired a few people here and there. Appreciate you, you know who you are, but mostly it's been me. I created my website, and if y'all saw the first website I ever created, you'd be like, what the fuck? You released this to the public? Yes, because I had the inspired action. I wanted to do the thing and I did it, and I've refined it so much since then. That was almost 2 years ago now. I've refined it so much since then, and I'll still be refining it. Like, I still log on sometimes and I'm like, I want to tweak that, or I want to change that, or I want to hire someone to do that better because I don't even know how to do that. You know, but it's like, that's always going to be the case, and things can always be refined, always be perfected. But the only thing that's holding you back is the idea that it has to be that right now, which is completely false. So take the action, because it will heal you and you will find ways to make it better over time. Do it messy. That's for all you Virgos out there. My unconscious moon is in Virgo, so I get it. What else do we have going on this month? On June 21st, the sun enters Cancer. That's also the summer solstice. So just really being in that energy, right, of fully being in summer, of change, of taking the action, of doing the thing. We've planted the seeds, right? Now it's time to like watch things grow and let them grow, and not try to control how fast or how soon or how much they grow, right? This also feels like a time of heightened intuitive abilities, but that will be going on for the next few years. That's just kind of like, it comes and goes in waves, and that's why we all have been feeling up and down, really tired right now, or sick, or, you know, all of the above. Because we're just really being blasted with energetic frequencies that are expanding our consciousness, preparing us for when Pluto goes into Aquarius, which I'm not even going to talk about. Maybe I'll do a whole video on that. We'll see how I feel. And then on June 22nd, Venus enters Gemini. So with Venus and Taurus, with Venus being in Taurus most of the month of June, again, it's a really great time to really be putting your pleasure first, really be, you know, kind of cultivating a greater relationship with your money, with your finances, with really reframing your beliefs around those things and what you feel like is possible for you, and really, you know, stepping up to other potentials and other possibilities versus the ones you've just been in for so long. Again, time to leave the comfort zone, it feels like, in June. And then on June 28th, Neptune joins Saturn in retrograde. I mean, they're not going to be together because Neptune's in Pisces and Saturn's in Aquarius, but Neptune will be entering retrograde at the end of June on the 28th. And then I forgot to mention too, on June 14th, so in between Mercury entering Gemini and that Mars Chiron conjunction that I talked about, we will have the full moon in Sagittarius at 23 degrees, which I'm super stoked about because my moon is in Sag at 21 degrees. So I'm excited to see what happens for that. But it's really like all about, you know, cultivating this greater relationship with your wisdom and with your power and with these new beliefs that you've been cultivating, and really, again, just this theme of taking the action. I know I almost feel like a broken record because I've been saying this for months of like, it's time to take action, it's time to do the thing. But June is like really the accelerating month where it's like a make or break point. And it feels like this full moon in Sagittarius on the 14th of June will kind of be a coming to heads with that. And then on June 28th, the same day that Neptune stations retrograde, we have the new moon in Cancer. So just setting new intentions around, our ability to nurture ourselves as well as nurture our connections in our lives. Check the area of your chart that this is hitting for you. And I'll be doing moon workshops on both of these moon transits to go deeper into each one, as well as where in the human design chart they are and what that can mean for you based on your human design chart. So if you're not a member of the Astro HD classes membership, you will have access to those when you become one, and I post those again every moon cycle, and all the classes are free for members, so, and you have access to them forever. So yeah, that's really what June has in store for us. All right, my camera battery almost died on us. Good save there, Kelsey. So to expand on this new moon in Cancer, it feels like with Neptune stationing retrograde that same day, I'm going to actually pull this up on my screen as well. It feels like, again, just a really big heightening of intuitive abilities and really relating to our feelings, our emotions in a different way, and really using them. I feel like we'll all just start to be more aligned with, or not aligned with necessarily, but focused on how we can use our feelings, our emotions as like an internal guidance system versus like that's just, showing us, giving more clarity around our thought patterns and how that's contributing to our emotional state versus thinking it just like comes out of nowhere. It's like usually it's because you had a thought that maybe you weren't aware of that caused you to think a certain thing that kind of put you into a spiral, right? So that's kind of the energy of what I'm feeling for the new moon in Cancer, is like just beginning this new, or setting new intentions around our relationship with our emotions and with our feelings, and leading more to from a place of intuition. And this will be heightened during the Neptune retrograde, which, let me see, when will that end? So Neptune retrograde starts on June 28th and will be retrograde until December 3rd. Quite a long time. But it feels like, again, we'll just be getting a lot more intuitive downloads, into intuitive activations, psychic awakenings, and that's not going to end. Like, that's going to be a theme of the next few years, and has been since Neptune has been in Pisces. And whenever it goes retrograde, it's just kind of like a reassessment, right, of, as is with all retrogrades, of how that energy is being expressed in us. What else do we have going on with the new moon in Cancer? I feel like that pretty much sums it up. Yeah, and then July we'll have Mars moving into Taurus, and then at the end of July too we have that whole Neptune, or I'm sorry, not Neptune, got off on a Neptune kick. North Node, Uranus, and Mars conjunction at the end of July and early August. So that is just like, I don't want to make any predictions about that, but it feels very intense. It feels like a lot of change happening all at once, and especially in terms of like our financials, our money, our resources, food, things of that nature. So yeah, really great time to just make sure that you have everything you need to be grounded, to be taken care of, to be like resourceful, to be supported in terms of material resources, finances, food, etc., and to really just have everything that you need to take care of yourself, especially with the, when we'll be in Cancer season starting on June 21st. It's like, how can you nurture yourself? How can you really just take better care of yourself? Gemini season's more like heady. It's more like, what do you want to communicate? What do you want to speak? What do you want to create? What do you want to manifest, right? And how is your thoughts and your communication creating that? But Cancer season's like, okay, how can we lead with our intuition and use our feelings and our emotions as an internal guidance system to show us where we need to kind of redirect or repivot or become more honest with ourselves in terms of what we're experiencing is making us feel, and how we can like just shift our relationship with that, or that dynamic that's there. So that feels like June, and really June just feels like, again, everything, just to sum it up, I guess, like everything I said, I feel like sums it up pretty clearly. It's like your spiritual practice is going to be really important in June. Just having, things on the collective level at a news level might just seem really chaotic, little crazy maybe. So how can you just really be disciplined with your own practices and with really listening and tuning in with your own desires and having this established connection with a higher power, with your higher self, with source, so that you're not led astray by all these external forces, right? How can you connect and harness and strengthen, a lot of clearing, it feels like, too, in June. How can you strengthen and harness a greater connection with yourself and like really be steadfast and firm and committed to that, and disciplined to listening to that and taking action based on your internal knowing, and not, you know, letting your direction go astray by what's being presented to you, or what's being told to you, or what's being shown to you in the outside world is like what you need to be doing, or what you should be doing, or blah 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 blah. Like, no, like, what do you want to do, and how can you take action towards that, and how can you have this practice that helps you to strengthen that connection of that knowing, so that you don't get bogged down or become taken off track, right, or set back from everything that's going on outside of you. It's kind of like, what are you doing, and how disciplined are you to establishing a greater connection with your internal guidance system, right? And if you need some pointers, if you need some guidance on how to follow your internal guidance system and use your human design, check out all the offerings I have on my website, astrologyhumandesign.com. I have audio walkthroughs based on your unique profile, your unique type and authority. I have one for each of the 15 different type and authority combinations. Emotional manifestor, splenic manifestor, if you're a reflector, if you're a mental projector, if you're a self-projected projector, if you're an emotional manifesting generator. Like, I have audio walkthroughs on all of that, and they're really thorough and concise, and hopefully practical to help you apply it to your life, and you start to use your internal guidance system to align with your correctness, align with your true self, and make make decisions that are correct for you and in alignment with your highest, and again, help you to strengthen your connection with your internal guidance system, so that you do live in alignment with your purpose and don't get caught off guard or cast astray by these outside external forces that aren't you. So that's all I have for you all today. Thanks so much for being here. I love you all.